Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Pena, and this is a special edition of our podcast, Carrie Pena Reports. On this show, we interview people who have incredibly inspirational stories to share. The woman you're about to meet is facing the unthinkable. She's been told that she may only have weeks to live. She contacted me and asked me to help her share her story. Not a story of sadness, but a story of strength and inspiration. We talked to her at her home in Scottsdale, Arizona. Here's that interview. I'm here with Alli Hagerdon. Alli, thank you so much for sitting down to do this show.
Thank you so much for having me, Carrie.
The first thing I wanted to ask you, you've been on a roller coaster that is truly unimaginable, and we're going to take people through your journey. Why did you want to sit down today?
It's important for me to show people that no matter what you're faced with in life, how important it is to carry on and to persevere and keep living. Appreciate every day, find gratitude in every moment, and really just be thankful for the things that you do have.
You have recently been told that you may only have weeks to live.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about your journey to now and how you're facing each day with such strength. And you want to inspire other people through your strength. 4 years ago, you were getting married in Chicago.
Yes.
Take me to that moment and your happiness.
4 years ago, my husband, who I met on New Year's Eve, who I'm so fortunate to call my husband, and I got married on Michigan Avenue in downtown Chicago. It was the perfect day, the perfect wedding, everything I could have ever dreamed of and imagined. We had our family, our friends, everyone there celebrating with us, just surrounded by love and surrounded by happiness. And it was a wonderful way to start our marriage and our life together.
Life was good.
Life was great.
Then you had a little baby.
Yes.
2 years ago.
Yes.
And she just makes your entire face light up.
Yes.
Tell us about her.
So 2 years ago, we had a little girl named Adeline. We often call Addie. And, you know, you never know how much your heart can love until you're holding your own little baby in your arms, and there's no words that can describe the love I have for her, and my husband has for her, and my parents have for her, and she just brings light and joy to every moment of our day.
What's she like?
She is strong-willed, which they say she gets from me. She is bossy. She's 2 now, and she definitely knows what she wants. She loves to play with her friends. We have play dates every day. We spend as much time outside as we can because it's so beautiful here now.
Yeah.
And, you know, she is just so much fun.
Only a few short months after she was born, you were diagnosed with cancer.
Yes.
How old were you at the time?
At the time, I was 29. So when I was breastfeeding, my baby girl was born in September 1st, 2016. And when I was breastfeeding in October, I felt what felt to me like a clogged milk duct. And I just kind of ignored it. You know, everything was different, everything was changing. I was a new mom with an infant, I was exhausted, and slowly, to me, what was a clogged milk duct grew by January to be 6 centimeters. And even when I went into the doctor, no one was concerned, nobody had any worries. Everybody said, "You're young, you're nursing, no big deal, we're just gonna go through a routine biopsy, but nothing to worry about." And it wasn't until that moment they called me on February 8th, 2017. I will never forget. I was nursing my daughter, it was a Friday, and my doctor called me and she said, "You have breast cancer." And I remember dropping Adeline to the couch, collapsing on the floor, and I just, to me, that was it. My life was over. I was not expecting to hear those words. I am the opposite of a hypochondriac. I'm always like, I'm fine, I'll get through it. And looking at this beautiful 4-month-old little girl and being told you have cancer in the same breath was just petrifying.
But you're a fighter.
I am a fighter.
So thus began the fight.
It did begin. And so from that moment, after that I went and I began my fight. I started with doing fertility before I started my treatment, because treatment could harm your chance of pregnancy in the future, and that was very important to me to grow my family one day. I went into 6 months of chemotherapy. Chemotherapy is so strong that there were so many days that I couldn't even get out of bed. I couldn't turn the TV on. I couldn't open my eyes. I couldn't hear noise, only to be given the news that I had zero response to any of that chemotherapy. I then moved on to getting a bilateral mastectomy. I chose from there to do a oophorectomy, where they remove my ovaries and fallopian tubes. I did that because during this journey I learned that I was BRCA1 positive, something I never knew about myself, something my family never knew, because everybody asks if your mother had breast cancer, if your grandmother had breast cancer. I inherited my BRCA from my father. So it was big news to me that you could be impacted on your paternal side. And so for Adeline, I decided I would take out my ovaries and tubes just so that I could live longer to be with her. I went through 30 rounds of radiation, and by the end of December of 2017, I was told that I made it. I was cancer-free, go on with life, and I had succeeded getting through my 1 year of treatment, and I was given permission to continue living on.
What did that feel like? Because previous to the diagnosis and you getting married, you were a superstar teacher. You were even training teachers in Chicago. You were so good. I know you're not bragging here. I'm bragging for you. But you had like the top test scores of any of the teachers in the Chicago area. So you were asked to train, hundreds of people there.
Yes, and so, when I was diagnosed with cancer, I left my job in educational consulting, and I really just focused on my treatment and my daughter. But it just felt freeing. It felt freeing. I felt like I could finally live life the way I wanted to, that I didn't have to follow any more rules, that I didn't have to go in for any more infusions and spend that time away from my daughter. And I just kept asking my doctor, how can I prevent recurrence? And the answer kept being exercise. And so I joined Stroller Strides, which was a wonderful community of moms in which I was so loved and supported and embraced. And I worked out with my daughter 5 days a week. We went. She loved it. There were play dates after for the kids to play. We'd play on the playground. I felt like I was modeling a healthy lifestyle for her.
Yeah, you must have felt so much joy.
I felt so much joy. I felt so much strength physically. I just felt lighter.
And then Mother's Day comes.
Mother's Day comes. The Friday before Mother's Day, I went in for my routine checkup with my oncologist.
Of this year, Mother's Day of this year.
Mother's Day of 2018, yes, which always makes people a little bit anxious.
Yeah.
Nobody is really looking forward for that routine checkup, but I went in and my doctor said, "You're doing amazing. You're working out. You're so strong. You're living a healthy lifestyle." He gave me permission to use the 2 embryos that my husband and I have and put them in my uterus to grow our family. He, was just overjoyed with where I was, and I spent the weekend with a smile plastered on my face because I was finally gonna get to be what I considered normal again. Mm-hmm. I was gonna get to be a mom that got to grow their family, that had the opportunity to make those choices. And the Monday after Mother's Day, I received a call from my oncologist telling me that my tumor markers, which they test through my blood, were through the roof. He called everything off, the reconstruction surgery I was supposed to have that week, the embryos, everything. And we did scans on Tuesday to learn that I had 15 tumors in my lungs, 15 tumors in my liver, 2 in my brain, and also growing on my bones.
It seems incomprehensible how you even begin to digest that news.
When you hear something like that, especially after having an appointment like I did, where we celebrated how well I was doing, I couldn't even wrap my head around that this was me, because how could the same body that just taught themselves how to run 5 miles, who has never run before, and the same body who had the strength to work out 5 days a week, and how could that body be so filled with cancer? It was so beyond my ability to comprehend at first. Recurrence was always a fear of mine, but never did I think that I would only be given months of being cancer-free before becoming stage 4 metastatic, and they told me then that you have 2 years to live.
And then that brings us to today.
So from May until now, I have been on every standard form of treatment that there is. I have been on what's called a PARP inhibitor. I have been through so much radiation. I have done immunotherapy. I have done off-study risky trials. I have been willing to fight in any way that I could to be here and alive and on this earth for Adeline, only to reach the point today where, while my lungs have stabilized and my brain is doing better and my bones are not a bother to me, my liver just keeps growing and growing and growing to the point where I have started to lose my liver function, which excludes me from research studies. And 2 weeks ago, I was given 1 more dose of a new chemotherapy, and the doctor said to me, "This is it. If this doesn't work, you have weeks to live." Not knowing if I could believe that, I went to a different doctor for a second opinion this week, and I was told the same thing. You will have a couple weeks to live, or possibly a couple years, and we will know in a week or 2. But I have been forced to plan my memorial. I have been forced to, sit down with a lawyer and clearly state everything that I want in my upcoming death, and been forced to do things that I could never have imagined as a 31-year-old mother of a 2-year-old I would have to be faced with.
Tell everyone what it is that you said to me. I wrote down your quote that you learned about the difference between pain and suffering.
So what I've learned through this is there takes a certain amount of emotional tolerance to deal with the pain that I face every day, the emotional pain, the knowledge of my cancer, the knowledge of my lifespan. And that pain is pain that I have learned to tolerate. The pain that is intolerable is the pain that's suffering. And suffering is something that I bring on myself. Suffering is when I go to the park and I see my friend who's pregnant with their second child, and all I want is to be healthy and to be pregnant and to give Adeline a sibling. And I go into the, why don't I get that? Why can't it be me who's healthy and pregnant and growing my family? Why is that time being taken away from me? That is the suffering. And so what I have taught myself to do is to stop wanting the things that I cannot have and to appreciate the things that I do have. And so when I go to the park and I see my friends who are all pregnant with their second children, growing their families, I look at Adeline and I'm so thankful that I have her. And so instead of causing myself to suffer and focusing on a child that I will not be able to have, I focus on this just amazing blessing and opportunity I have to be a mother to the most wonderful girl, because that I am truly thankful for. And that is how I prevent my suffering.
What do you want her to know about you?
I want her to know that I will never stop fighting for her, that every day I get out of bed, I do it for her, and that if they tell me in 2 weeks it's time to go into hospice, I'm not going. I will go on. I will find a doctor. I will find a treatment, and I will keep fighting, because I am a warrior and I will never stop fighting for her.
You have been blogging a bit on Facebook, and you have a Caring Bridge. And people have been reaching out to you, discovering your words. And people write to you, and people who don't have cancer, who aren't sick, and telling you that your fight, your journey, has inspired them to live differently. I know that's important to you, that you want to inspire people to truly appreciate what they have.
It's so important, because I think in life, especially in today's society where things are so fast-paced and moving so quickly, and there's so much pressure for the success, that how often do you take a breath? Do you take a pause? Do you look around you? Do you see what you have, and do you say, wow, I am so thankful that I have this right now. I am living life with gratitude today, because I am so appreciative to have this wonderful spouse, to have this wonderful family, to have these wonderful friends that just love on me and support me unconditionally, to have a job that I love to do, to live in an area that I love, to have a hobby that I get joy from doing. I think that before I had cancer, I didn't take the time that I should have to pause and be thankful and be appreciative and live my life with gratitude. And I wish that I did, because you're really missing out on living when you don't take the time to appreciate what it is in life that you do have.
Tomorrow or in the coming days, you guys are going to Disneyland.
Yes, yes.
How are you making that happen?
You know, you power through. You make it happen because I have an opportunity to go. I'm still here and I'm still alive. And so I'm gonna live and I'm going to make memories. And I'm gonna go with my parents, with my husband, with my brother, with my daughter. And we're gonna go take her to Disneyland for the first time. And we're going to, to me, my favorite part of those experiences is watching the joy on her face and how much fun she has. And then we're gonna take her to the ocean. And the ocean to me is so therapeutic and so calming. And if I'm tired, I'm tired. I'm not gonna stop, because if I stopped every time I was tired, I would never do anything. And so you figure out how to get through the day. You figure out how to enjoy every moment. And you do it because you can. Because I am so thankful to be alive today, to be alive tomorrow, to be alive over the weekend when we're gonna go on our trip. I'm so thankful for that opportunity to live, and I am going to use every moment of that time to live the best that I can with my family.
You have a great family.
A wonderful
parents
family.
who adore you.
Yes.
Your great brother and your husband. You said that there are 3 lessons you really want to make sure that your daughter always knows. To be strong, to be tolerant, and to be kind.
Yes. I think that it's so important, and I want her to know this from this interview when she's older and she listens to it, that there are days and there are things that we're faced with. They might not be terminal illness, but things that come up in life, in school, at work, where you think, how am I going to get through this? This is impossible. And really, nothing is impossible. You get through it by working as hard as you possibly can and by persevering. You put on your warrior hat and you lift your head up high and you put a smile on your face no matter how you feel, and you get through it. And the second part of being tolerant is, I feel like we live in a world that's so filled with intolerance. And to me, there's no excuse to be intolerant of others. I want my daughter to know to love and to accept and to welcome people, no matter their differences, no matter if they're the same, they're different, no matter how they're different. Everybody is a human being and a person and deserves to be treated that way, which leads me to the last piece, which I always taught my first graders more than anything, is that there's nothing more important than being kind. My mom always told me that love beholds love, and I learned that all of the love that I've given out through all of these years, I see it now coming back to me. I see that lesson coming to life. my kindness, my tolerance is now providing me with a support network of people, not just my wonderful family, but my wonderful friends, my Arizona friends, my Chicago friends, strangers that find me through my blog. And I am just filled with love and kindness. And I truly believe it's because that's what I've put out there. And so it's so important to put out that tolerance, the kindness, that love to everybody you meet, because they can feel it and it touches them, you know? And one day, they're going to return that feeling back to you. And even if they don't, you get to walk away knowing you've given that to somebody else.
What do you want people to learn from your story?
I want people to learn that nothing can stop me. And if nothing can stop me in this situation, nothing can stop them. There's always a way to carry on. There is always a way to pick your head up and keep fighting. That life is life, and the universe is out of our control. But the only thing we can control is ourselves. And we can control ourselves and move forward. We have the choice of laying in bed and not getting out. We have the choice of crying and whining and complaining and moaning. Or we have the choice of lifting up our heads, putting a smile on our face, and carrying on. And that if I can do that after being told on Monday that I may only have 2 more weeks of life, anybody can do that.
Are you scared?
I'm scared for my family. I'm scared for the grief they will feel when I am gone. I am been trying to put everything in place for them to make it as easy for them as possible when I do pass. But I know that I will be in a better place. But they're the ones who will be stuck here grieving.
You told me that you feel so grateful for the beautiful life that you have lived and that you continue to live.
Yes. I mean, I'm so grateful to have had so many experiences that have allowed me to make a difference. From teaching in Chicago at a Title I school, to teaching teachers, to being a mother and teaching my daughter, you know, and to starting a nonprofit where we mentored other young women going through similar journeys as our own. I am so grateful to have had the opportunity in life to help others grow and learn. And to me, that's what it's about. It's how can you help others? How can you make a difference in other people's lives? And even through my pain today, it's okay that I'm feeling this pain as long as I know that it's making a difference to somebody else. Because the pain is worth it if it's able to help just one person. If there's just one person who watches this who says, wow, you know, I've been really down, but tomorrow I'm gonna try to get out of bed, take a shower, get out of the house, face the world. Then the pain I'm feeling is worth it because it's helping somebody else.
I want to thank you so much for your incredible courage in sitting down and sharing your story and your authenticity and your genuine spirit. And I know, speaking for myself and for everyone who watches and listens to this, we're all just loving on you.
Thank you.
Loving on you.
Thank you, Carrie.
And we're going to continue on following Alli's story, and we'll be posting your blogs and your vlogs. I'm teaching them how to vlog. And we'll be putting all of that on our website, inspiredmedia360.com. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening.